It is my huge honor to welcome Steen Lund, CEO of RightShip, on stage for the opening address. Please help me welcome him.
Good morning, everyone. What a gathering of friends from across the industry. Phenomenal to be here together with you today, and I'd like first of all to say thank you that you are investing a part of the day, or hopefully for many of you the whole day, together with us here. We are incredibly excited to have this, as I learned as we walked in here, apparently the second event in the full series of Posidonia events. There was one that managed to come faster to the market than we in RightShip did yesterday, but this is a co-creation with Posidonia, and we are very happy to be here. I also would like to extend a very warm welcome to the 500 or so online participants to the event that I understand are tuning in from many parts around the world, and hopefully we can keep your attention during the day. What makes the gathering here very meaningful for us is that it's really our first large-scale forum in Greece, and it gives us the opportunity to spend a lot of meaningful time together with you. We've also had other events during the week. We started the week with a RightShip board meeting, and very importantly yesterday, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about that from stage, we had an excellent meeting together with our friends and partners in Intercargo and with the Dry Bulk Center of Excellence, where we discussed how we take that structure forward. We have had partnership meetings with our Zero Harm innovation partners during the week. We've met customers, and we'll continue to do that also tomorrow. So look forward to many of those bilateral conversations. They inform us well, and we become enriched from what you share. So please continue to do that. In addition, we also have RightShip board directors in the room today. We have Emma from, there you are, Emma from BHP. We have Eric, who's also our chair from Cargill. And we have Law from Rio Tinto. And I think also both Law and Eric will be on stage later on and will be contributing to part of the panel conversation. So thank you also to the board to invest yourself in our conversations with customers and sort of turning the circle full across the industry. Very valuable. I appreciate that majority of the room is representing ship owners and managers, and it's excellent also to have other sides of the industry with us here today. So at RightShip, our vision has always been clear. It's really about a maritime industry where every journey is safe, every decision is sustainable, and every seafarer returns home unharmed. So essentially an industry that causes zero harm. But as the industry evolves, it's become increasingly clear that achieving that vision requires more than incremental progress. It requires a deep level of alignment, a stronger foundation for decision making, and above all, a system that truly can be trusted. Over the past decade, our industry has undergone a profound transformation. We now operate in an environment where inspection regimes are more comprehensive, compliance frameworks are more mature, and digital systems are generating an ever-growing volume of operational insights. And yet, despite all that progress, the outcomes we care about most are not improving at the pace they deserve and that we should expect. We continue to see serious incidents across global shipping, and when we look more closely at the data, the scale and persistence of the challenge becomes clear. So as a couple of examples, in 2025 alone, some 4,578 incidents were reported across the industry, including around 1,300 of those classified as serious incidents. and some 232 fatalities. More than 6,000 seafarers were abandoned globally in a single year. And it's a sad record, but it's a record, and it has kept going up year by year. That's a stark reminder that the consequences of our decisions extend far beyond operational metrics and into the lives and well-beings of people at sea and their families at home. These are not isolated events, but they're signals of a deeper systemic issue that continue to repeat across vessels, across fleets, and across the globe. So beyond the human cost, the operational and commercial impact is also very significant. In 2025, an estimated 16,643 days were lost to vessel detentions across all vessel types. That would represent about $250 million in economic losses if one assumed a $15,000 day rate. So those figures again highlight that safety outcomes are not only of moral and regulatory concern, but are material business issues that directly affect efficiency, reliability, and cost across the whole supply chain. So there's a lot to go to work on. At the same time, the environment in which decisions are made has become more demanding. Security from regulators, insurers, and financiers has increased. Expectations around accountability has expanded, and commercial timelines have continued to compress. Marine assurance teams are now expected to make decisions that are not only correct, but are defensible and do so very, very quickly. So we find ourselves in a position where the industry is richer in data than it has ever been before, yet not necessarily stronger in confidence. And when confidence is inconsistent, decisions become inconsistent. The question we need to ask, therefore, is a simple one. How do we create confidence in the data, in the systems that interpret it, and in the decisions that then follow? Because the central issue we face today is not access to information. It is confidence in the information. Confidence in the quality and integrity of the data, confidence in how that data can be interpreted across different stakeholders, and confidence that the decisions made on the back of that data are consistent, fair, and aligned. And when we look at the data more closely, we can see that this confidence gap is not theoretical. It's already playing out in how decisions are made across the industry. Research commissioned by RightShip through Theseus shows that while 73% of charterers say that safety records and investments in risk reduction significantly influence their decisions, an almost identical 73% of owners and managers believe they are already exceeding safety expectations, and 67% believe the same when it comes to crew welfare. Yet despite this apparent alignment, the outcomes tell a different story. Around 60% of charterers report that tight profit margins limit their ability to select vessels with higher ESG standards, while 53% point to short deadlines and operational pressures as key constraints. At the same time, 80% of respondents indicated that there is still no clear alignment on what good looks like in terms of performance. When that confidence is missing, even well-intentioned systems begin to fragment. Different organizations apply different interpretations. Workflows become increasingly manual and hence time-consuming. What this reveals is not a lack of intent, but a gap between intent and action, where values are broadly shared but not consistently operationalized at the point of decision-making. And essentially, this is why standards matter greatly, because ultimately standards are what turns data into trust. Standards provide the structure that allows data to be understood in the same way across the industry. They create comparability between vessels, between operators, and between decisions made. They allow us to move from isolated data points to shared understanding, and from individual judgment to collective confidence. They also reduce ambiguity at the critical moment of choice, enabling safety, sustainability, and crew welfare to be clearly visible, consistently measured, and meaningfully weighed alongside commercial considerations. So in many ways, standards are the invisible infrastructure of trust. Without them, data remains fragmented and open to interpretation. With them, it becomes something far more powerful, becomes a common language that enables consistent, transparent, and defensible decision-making. This becomes even more critical as we look at the growing role of artificial intelligence in our industry. There is no question that AI has the potential to transform how maritime assurance is concluded. At RightShip, we are exploring how it can accelerate the review of, for instance, inspection reports, highlight risk patterns across fleets, and support more structured root cause analysis. Tasks that once required significant manual effort can now be instilled into actionable insight in a matter of seconds, allowing experienced professionals to focus their attention where it matters the most. But the impact of AI is not determined by technology alone. It is determined by the environment in which it operates. If the underlying data is inconsistent, if standards are not aligned, and if governance frameworks are unclear, then AI does not simplify decision-making, it would amplify uncertainty. It produces outputs that are difficult to interpret, harder to explain, and would ultimately challenge trusts. On the other hand, when AI is built on a foundation of clear standards, structured data, and shared definitions of risk, it becomes a powerful enabler. It allows us to move beyond simply processing information towards genuinely improving the quality, speed, and consistency of decisions. In that sense, AI does not replace the need for standards, it reinforces it. Because in a world where decisions are increasingly supported by algorithms, the ability to explain and defend those decisions become even more important. And that can only be achieved when the underlying frameworks are transparent, aligned, and widely understood. This brings us to the opportunity in front of us. For a long time, our industry has operated within a landscape of fragmented systems and varying standards. But the conversations we have had over the past few days and in our broader engagement with many of you suggest that there is both a recognition of this challenge and a willingness to address it. And that's encouraging. Because real progress will not come from any one organization or from technology alone. It will come from collaboration, from ship owners, managers, charterers, terminals, regulators, and technology providers working together to define what good looks like and to apply it consistently. At RightShip, we see our role as helping to connect these efforts, to make data more usable, to support more transparent decision-making, and to contribute to the development of shared standards that the industry can rely on. But just as importantly, we see forums like the one today as an opportunity to engage more openly, to learn from one another, to challenge perspectives, and to build on the collective experience that exists across this room. The discussion should not end with the panels today, though. I would strongly encourage you to actively participate through the Q&A sessions to make the most of the conversations that will continue beyond this room throughout the day. Our ambition is not simply to host an event, but to create a day of real impact that we can take forward from here together with you. Ultimately, trust is something that we must build collectively. Because behind every data point is something far more important: a safer voyage, a better decision, a risk avoided, and a seafarer returning home safely. So if we can align on standards, strengthen collaboration, and apply technology responsibly, then we have the opportunity to move beyond simply being data rich. We can become an industry where decisions are not only informed, but that are trusted. From all of us at RightShip, thank you for your trust and for your partnerships. Thank you for investing your time and thought leadership in the event today. I look very much forward to the conversations we'll have together. Thank you.